to have you join us on the Breakfast Show this morning. Starting with security matters now. The recent bomb blast in Yola, which ripped through a police station, killing scores of persons, is generating a lot of concerns across Nigeria. Having a bomb go off at a police station while the war against the insurgency is far from being over, Nigerians are keen to ask what becomes of their safety. Also, is it right to have a civilian population around security installations? Now, to talk about these and many more security issues, we have in the studio Lionel Rawlins. He is the Assistant Vice President, Security and Safety of the American University of Nigeria. Lionel, welcome.
Madakinya to both of you.
All right. Now, before we step into this interview, we would like you to see this report as filed in by Sharif Al-Hassan on the issue of the bomb blast. Let's take a look.
This is one bomb blast after 4 others that rocked Adamawa State for months, killing scores. The incident, which occurred at Jimeta Police Station, affected neighboring houses, vehicles, while emergency workers were busy collecting human flesh at the scene. Well, I'm right here at the scene of the bomb blast at the Jimeta Police Station. Here is one of the canisters of the bomb blast, and of course you can see how heavy it is. 3 of them actually exploded here, and deep inside the main police station there are 1 to 2 of the bomb that hasn't exploded yet. And of course security and other personnel are here to beef up security in case of other unfortunate incident that may likely happen. The blast claimed the life of a police officer. The blast claimed the life of a police officer, and his family is shocked to receive the bad news at a time they needed him most. Eyewitness account who spoke to Gotel News narrates what happened.
We are inside the office. Our director was here. Immediately our director come out, we see the sound of sound. Immediately we see the sound, we see something come and hit our. We see some arrow wing. When we see arrow wanted to come out, we see people. We see the darkness. We didn't see even. We can't see even our partner. We started seeing the room was shaking. One room was shaking. That is from there we started running away. Wanted to come out from the offices. No way. We try. The next thing when we come out, we see every place was so.
Those injured were rushed to the specialist hospital for treatment by emergency aid workers. As hundreds of people thronged the hospital to ascertain the victims of the blast. Confirming the incident, the other
situation we saw as at last week Thursday here in Yola, a bomb went off in a police station. Is that normal? Would you describe the situation itself? Let me have your take on that.
Well, that's definitely not normal. The police stations are supposed to be a safe place. And if a bomb were to go off there, something definitely went wrong somewhere. First of all, why would you have bombs, live bombs, hanging around in a station? It is not normal, it's not natural. Bombs are kept in things they call magazines, or sometimes they call it armories or perhaps bunkers. But definitely not in a place where people live or where people work or where people play. You don't put bombs in those places.
But by standard architecture of a security formation, is it right for the police to have bomb of that magnitude in their custody?
Well, not really. You know, bombs like that are supposed to be on a military base, in a bunker, or a magazine, or an armory, as we said. Now, bombs don't go into armories. I don't know. Armories are kept for guns, M16s, AK-47. Magazines are used for big bombs and military type or military grade bombs. That's where you put them. It's not the normal thing to put them in there and have them around where people live. Maybe there's a reason for it that we don't know.
Well, if you were talking about having a reason for it, since it is a security apparatus here now, let's not forget that the police station actually, you know, we have the traffic center, of course, and the bomb disposal unit. But is it okay now to diffuse a bomb, you know, in the office? That is another thing now, because if the bombs were brought in to be diffused, you know, as purportedly said by some, but is it okay to diffuse it in the office?
No. It is not okay to defuse a bomb anywhere where there's people hanging around. It's done in a safe place, in a safe location, and very far from people. And especially the type of bomb it is. If it is a real high explosive type bomb, then you even need to be further away, perhaps out in the bush somewhere. If you cannot detonate it in a safe place, like in a bunker, you must go to a faraway place, because the effects of bombs, you have blast and you have heat. So something's going to get you. If it's not the blast, if you're too close, it'll be the heat. And then you have the residue, the fallout of the blast, which would be stones, rocks, pebbles, glass, pieces of sticks, trees. They can become projectiles, and they can go inside the body and kill you.
So are we saying this accident or incident that occurred is a professional error coming in from the police?
I would say an accident. You know, to say an error, people use the word error and they use the word negligence, and you know, even though they overlap, they have different meanings when you use them. I will use the word accidental because we don't know the full extent of the investigation. They have to investigate it to find out exactly what happened. You use the word diffusion, as you know, and I've heard people say that they were trying to diffuse it. I've also heard that they were moving it from one place to another. I've also heard the heat of the sun was able to set it off. But whatever it is, something caused a shock wave. And this is how bombs are set off. A shock wave that travels faster than the speed of sound is what sets off these bombs and causes the explosion. So something happened that caused this to explode, killing 4 good people. And I know those people, and I know that they're very good at what they do. I've seen them work, I've seen them operate, I've worked with them before. So I know that these people are professionals. No. And an error, I don't think that is something they would make.
Now, why the battle over insurgency in northeastern Nigeria is not yet over? We see, yes, a considerable amount of success being recorded over this whole thing. Now, the blast sent a negative message to especially citizens or residents in Yola, feeling this has further compromised their safety. Now, the question is, how safe should people feel at this time of the day with a situation like that coming out from the police station?
They should feel safe. There is no reason for the people to be running around in fear. If you think about it, how often does a police station blow up? It doesn't happen too often. This is the first time it probably has happened here in Yola.
Where somebody would say, if it has happened, he doesn't know when the next one will go.
The reason why there was heightened tension in the evening when a gas cylinder went off.
At the movie Roundabout, of course, a lot of people started running helter-skelter, and that another bomb went off at movie Roundabout that same day.
You need to be more fearful of a gas cylinder going off in and around Jamaica, Yola, than to worry about a bomb going off in a police station.
But if you look at a police station, of course, it's a densely situated in a densely populated area. Yes. There are residential buildings close by, and that is the concern of quite a number of experts. You know, and going by the footage we saw, you know, some minutes ago, the calister of the bomb depict that it's indeed a very big bomb. It even looked like an IED, right?
No, so it's bigger than an IED.
It's bigger than an IED, right?
You see. Yes, but if you look at it statistically, how often has a bomb gone off in a police station? I'm not saying that it was right to have a bomb there. I'm definitely saying you shouldn't put bombs there. But the fact is, it doesn't happen often. You are more likely to get hurt by a canister, propane, because there's people always around. It's always in a shopping area. People are always shopping around, and that to me is more dangerous than a bomb going off.
I want to believe one of the reasons why people had to be afraid that day was because, of course, the Boko Haram insurgents have attacked police stations before. So, of course, it's in their modus operandi now to attack barracks and police. So people might have thought that, okay, the attack actually came, to invade the police station. So when you say that, how often does bomb explode in police station? Somebody out there will just say, maybe this man doesn't really know what we've gone through in the country, Now, you said the people around there should live their life, without fear.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's nothing to worry about. This has set the course of things in motion. Okay. For example, the IG has sent out the command that they need to start inspecting the armories. The fact is, you're supposed to inspect your armory at least twice a week, minimum once. But every week you must inspect your armories, and you must inspect your weapon. Well, what if one is missing? You must inspect your bombs, not even so that they may detonate accidentally, but what if you had 10 big bombs and 2 is missing? Where did they go? Who have them? Who has them? So you have to inspect and do these things. So I do believe
this is standard procedure. Is that what you're saying?
This is standard procedures that should have been followed, and I don't know if they were following them. And if they weren't following them, I'm sure they'll follow them now. So that's why I'm saying that people don't really have a reason to be living in fear that something's going to happen at the next police station.
But Lionel, how do you really allay the fears of these people? Because knowing fully well that unit had the specialists, the professionals who were supposed to handle that bomb situation, but unfortunately the bomb went off. And I said an error, you said no, you described it as an accident. Now, how do you think the people would have this confidence? Ordinarily, their psychology has been defeated by Boko Haram, knowing fully well that they also execute their campaign using bombs. Now, how confident do you think the population would be with regard to what happened, if it could occur or happen to the professionals? What about the common man on the street? Again,
I'm come back to, if you look at them, they have nothing to fear. They better off living around the police station. Yes, they have some drawbacks. If the Boko Haram attack a police station and you're living close by, there might be some fallout. But you have a better chance living next to a military base or a police station than if you're living out in far away from them. You have a stronger opportunity or a higher percentage of being killed on the road in a motor vehicle accident, in a keki-peki accident, than if you were living next to a police station or the army barracks. So what I'm trying to say is, there's nothing to be fearful about. You should fear driving on the highways of Nigeria and buying fuel or gasoline or kerosene on the road. It's nothing to worry about. If it was going off every 2 or 3 months, a bomb exploded, I would say we have a problem. But I do not see this as a problem. I see an accident that took place, and we have to figure out what went wrong.
You see it as an accident, but before the explosion, there wasn't any premonition, that it might explode. Now, would you advocate that a bomb disposal unit be situated in the metropolis?
No. That's a very good question. I would say bomb disposal, well, they can be situated in the metropolitan area. The problem is not whether they're situated, the problem is where are the bombs located. So whenever they have bombs and they have work to do, it must be done away from the population, away from the people, away from places that we know people could get hurt, where people are traveling and walking by. So it is not where the bomb disposal team is located, okay. It is where the bombs are located.
Then so that means in the beginning the bomb shouldn't have been there.
The bomb should not have been there.
Your professional take, before we take this time out, your professional take would be, as human population increases and we have military installations, or we call it security installations, what should happen with these installations? Should they move out or still remain where they are and ensure that they have this high sense of safety checks on whatever things they have around them?
No, they don't have to move out at all. I am telling you, I've worked in places where there's a bomb, 500, 2,000 bombs just sitting behind me.
Yeah, because you were a military personnel, right?
Yes.
And based on your training, you know, of course, maybe you've been built to be strong on the inside. But we'll talk about that some after this time. I'll just catch a breath on this now. All right, if you have just tuned in, you're watching Safiya Breakfast Show, your #1 breakfast show in the northeastern part of the country. We will continue on this discussion, you know, talking about security matters with Dr. Lionel Rawlins. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you've just joined us, you're watching Safiya Breakfast Show. Now, picking up on other security issues, to boost the Nigerian military might in the war against the insurgents, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, said recently that the introduction of the newly acquired equipment and on platforms in the ongoing counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operation would serve as a force multiplier in the bid to end terrorism in northeast Nigeria. Dr. Lionel Rawlins is still here with us. And before we jump into that discussion of looking at Baratai's effort to see that the military is well equipped, let's just have a final take on the issue of the bomb blast that went off in Yola. Now, I'm still disturbed about the issue of having military installation, police bomb disposal unit resident within human population, that is the civilian population. Lionel Rawlins, I need your professional take on this seriously. Should this be the case? Do we need these units where the civilian population are resident?
Well, bombs of this magnitude should be held and operated and worked with by the military, not the police. The police is always within the metropolis because they're there to serve and protect the people. The military is always on the outskirts of town where they belong because that's, you know, they have nothing to do with the populace in terms of domestic problems. Okay. So having said that, the police can have limited amount of bombs, but if that is the case, it should not be within the building where they work or close to the people. There are magazines and bunkers that are buried, that are constructed deep within the ground where you can store these things. So even if there was an accidental explosion, it's met with a bunch of dirt and concrete and metal, so nothing flies, nothing escapes. It all says the earth and the dirt will collapse on the explosion, quickly putting out the fire and stopping pieces of fragments from flying out. So I would say they should not have it there. It should be on a military base. The people shouldn't worry about it because it doesn't happen too often. And if the police were to have any kind of ammunition to that explosive, it should be kept safely buried or in a magazine or armory where things won't get out of hand if there was an accidental explosion.
This question became pertinent based on the fact that if we remember some years back in Ikeja, Lagos State, a bombs went off in the military cantonment. That's right. And this was a question that was asked. Human population or civilian population living around military installation should not be the situation we should have in the 21st century Nigeria. But being that you've given us your own professional advice on what should be done, now let's look at other security issues. Now we see the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Baratai, saying that the military has been fortified with new weapons to be able to fight the issue of insurgency in northeast Nigeria. We took on a newspaper headline the issue of a motorbike battalion that's going to be also inaugurated to boost the fight against insurgency. Now, what does that speak with regard to the cleanup effort that the military is doing with the insurgents in northeast Nigeria?
Well, it's an added benefit to the military and what the military is doing. The military is doing an incredible job. Most people don't know what they do. All they do is what they know is what they hear in the news. A mobile motorbike battalion will enable the military to respond quickly, or more quickly than they're able to do now in those far remote villages, because many times the trucks and jeeps and so forth cannot get in there, but motorbikes can get in there, and you can get in there in a circular fashion. If you're trying to get into the middle, you can just set up your strategy and your plan to encircle the whole village with motorbikes in a big circle, and then you come in from all angles and quickly overtake your people and rescue the people there. So it is an added dimension to the war against the insurgency or the war against terror.
But some times ago, the suicide bombings took the center stage in Nigeria. And of course, unlike before, that the Boko Haram insurgents will come with sporadic shootings around, but should the military only be concerned, on getting new weapons, like the one we saw General Buratai commissioned, than also considering or having another apparatus to stop suicide bombings?
Well, this is a good question, because suicide bombing is unpredictable. You don't know when, where, how, or by whom. So it's one of the advantages that the insurgents have by sending a suicide bomber in to blow up a church, a mosque, a school, a market. But that is not the only thing that they're doing. They're also attacking villages, vulnerable villages and sites that are unprotected. So you need both angles. You need the ability to spot, detect, notify, and prevent suicide bombings, but you also need the ability to protect the population, and especially the ones in remote villages. Suicide bombing, as I've always said many times here, is not going to stop. It's going to continue. And I did say that when everything's finished, the Boko Haram will resort to suicide bombings, because it's an effective tool.
I tend to be disturbed here a little bit with this discussion of suicide bombing. Now, what's the military doing in understanding the psychology of Boko Haram? Because this seems to be an aspect that the military is not paying attention to. If you do not understand the ideology that this group is working with, there is no way you can crush them. So what becomes of the ideology? How do they understand the ideologies of this group?
No, they're studying them. Everybody's studying suicide bombers, but suicide bombing is not a new phenomenon either. It's been going on for a very, very, very long time. They've killed a lot of
But in the Middle East,
people.
not prevalent in Nigeria.
It's kind of new in
Well, it's
in this
new
region.
here. Well, you see, one of the things that we used to do here, or say in Nigeria, all over the world, is that black people, Nigerians don't need to worry about suicide bombings because black people don't normally kill themselves. Well, we've had to rethink that, because right now black people are killing themselves, blowing up themselves just to kill other people. So that phenomenon has changed, and we know now that we're not going to stop it. So yes, they are studying this whole phenomenon about Nigerians and black people becoming suicide bombers. We don't even know. Some of them are radicalized, some of them are coaxed into going and doing it, some of them are paid to do it, some of them are forced into doing it. So we don't know what you're getting, and so the best thing to do to prevent a suicide bombing is to always be prepared and inspect people. Don't let them inside your building.
It's good you made mention of this. You know why I raised the issue of understanding the psychology of Boko Haram? Suicide bombing in other nations, like what we hear from the Arab world, you do not get kids doing it, Lionel. We see matured individuals going in to execute this act. But what is happening in the battle or in the war against Boko Haram is kids doing this.
They got this from the Indians, the people, the Tamil guerrillas. The Tamil people are the ones who developed this great art in using suicide bombers to kill people. They're the ones who killed Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India. And it was a woman who did it, and this is back in the 1990s. So women being used as suicide bombers is nothing new. Children have also been used as suicide bombers. But this is nothing new either, because we found that children have been now used as child soldiers.
Yeah.
So this is just another dimension to the child soldier usage in the war against well, I shouldn't say the war against terror, but what the terrorists using against the population. So a very good question that you asked. The psychology right now, suicide bombing, is we don't know what they want. Some of them are paid. Some are doing it out of anger because their uncle was killed. Some of them are doing it for religious reasons because martyrdom is glorified. Some of them are doing it because they're angry at other people. Some of them are doing it because they want to get some money for the family. Some people are doing it for whatever reason they want to. So there's the psychology is here, there, and everywhere. It depends on who is coming to commit the crime. The best thing to do is inspect everybody who's coming into your building, your office, your church, your mosque, and everywhere. And that is the only way you're going to stop suicide bombing.
Inspect everybody that is coming even to your city, right?
Exactly.
Right from the entrance gate. Well, thank you very much, Lionel, for coming on the show. It's been very interesting talking with you as usual.
Yeah.
I will see you next week, sir.
See you next week.
Thank you very much, Lionel.
Always a pleasure.
Well, we have been talking with Dr. Lionel Rawlins, as he's the Assistant President, Security and Safety of the American University of Nigeria. And of course, he talked on some Nigerian security challenges and how to overcome them.